All right. So one quick thing I wanted to share here, as we got an update for Power BI. So we have this month update. So let me quickly open that Power BI update. So let me quickly. Okay. So whenever there is a new update available, so we just have to go to the Microsoft Store, and then we have to update the app, or sometimes Power BI, the store will directly update your application. And then second is, if you're downloading and then installing from the website, then you have to manually go there, search for the latest file, and then you install the latest version. So that way you would have all the features available. And then the way you check for the latest version is, within help, you can click on about, and then here you see a half June update. So you guys can check what version you're currently using, and then based on that, you can update your Power BI desktop. So if you have the latest version available, so then within the home tab or within the file tab, so you could see I can click on options and settings. I can click on options. So this menu I get when I click on file. So file, options and settings, options. So within options, there will be some preview features that will be available. So here you see I have preview features option. So you could see I have bunch of preview features that are available for me. So I could choose whichever preview feature I want to enable and check. So yeah, I could select everything, or only pick the one which I want to enable and test. So once everything is done, you can click on close. And then once you restart your Power BI desktop, all those preview features will be available for you. Okay, so this is the process you have to follow for updating your Power BI desktop. And then within help, you can go and then see what um, what's the version you're currently using. So I'll close this, and then within view, sorry, within help, I have about, and this is how we'll be checking the latest version. Okay, so let me close this for now, close Power BI desktop. So if we come back again to our previous presentation, what we were using, so we were seeing the different connection modes we have in Power BI. One is the import mode, second one is the direct query mode, and then third one is the live connection. And then using this illustration, so we have seen how a direct query connection will, how a direct query will get the data and then present it on the front end compared to import mode. And then we have seen how formula engine, storage engine work together to display it onto the front end. And then we have seen the different development paths we have available. And then one is we use the existing reports, analyze those existing report. And then the second type of development cycle is when we don't have any existing reports. Okay, and then we have seen the approach what we have to take when we are analyzing an existing report. All the calculations we have to capture, all the dimensions we have to capture, and then the way the data is being presented. And then when we have meetings with the business users, so for the bigger project I mentioned, we will have a team that will be working. And then for smaller projects, so we will be gathering the requirements, and then we also will be receiving help from the business analyst, project manager, or your manager. And then apart from that, we have seen the different type of users that we'll be working with. And then here are sample questions that we'll be asking during the meetings. So we have to know the purpose of the report, audience of the report, and then how the users will be consuming the report, whether they'll be consuming within the Power BI or they want to have the report as a PPT or a PDF or within the internet if they want to do the embedding. And then after that, we have to take any existing reports if they have available, or any of the specification document which would list what all calculations we have to use, what all dimension fields we have available, and then after that any business logic document as I mentioned previously. So there could be a calculation behind the scenes where there's a specific way we have to calculate and then get the number. So similar thing. So if you have like a business logic document, that would list how you have to have that logic written within the DAX. And then what all data sources we would be using for building the report. And then finally, in terms of when we are publishing in Power BI service and then making the report accessible for the user. So we have to see the data refresh frequencies and then the functionalities. They are specifically looking on that specific report. So, yep, so you can either document everything or make a quick notes of it. So everything would be documented within the Azure DevOps. So that is where you'll be tracking all your work. And then once everything is done, you'll be all set, and then closing the DevOps ticket and uploading all the required documents for the future reference. All right. Yep. So this is the process we follow. We gather the requirements, and then this is how a DAX query is executed. So you have to remember this complete flow. So the formula engine, storage engine, and then we have seen the different connection modes that we have available, and then we have seen how companies try to integrate the data that is coming from different departments and then create a central data warehouse. And then we have seen a high level picture of the complete Power BI development flow where we connect to a data source, pull the data, create visuals, and then publish it onto the Power BI service. And then we will have gateways in the middle for doing the data refresh. Yep. And let's move on now to Power BI desktop. So here, let's try to focus on creating some of the basic DAX calculations and then see how we could leverage those DAX calculations either as a calculated column or using it as a measure. So if I go back again to the presentation just for giving you an understanding, the difference between a calculated column and a measure. So here we have seen within the storage engine. So if you could see, we have the storage engine. So this storage engine will be within your RAM. So so combination of your RAM and then your CPU, that is where this Vortipack engine will execute all your requests and then present the data on the front end on the dashboards. So whenever you're importing new data from the databases, so everything will be residing in your memory. So let's say if you have a PC of 8 GB, then this memory, whatever your PBIX is, so let's say your PBIX size is 1 GB. So this model will be part of this 8 GB RAM. So if you're growing your PBIX, then this PBIX size will be increasing, and then it will also take more space in your RAM. As the RAM will be used by the other processors as well, so it will slow down your PC. So it's very important to be very careful when you're working on the development. So you have to analyze what all columns you want to basically bring in the data, so that you want to reduce the file size or the model size of your Power BI report. If you have like a reduced size, then your performance will be better. So it will be easy for Power BI along with this formula and then storage engine to run your queries and then to display it onto the front end side. But if whenever you are making any additions here, you have to just remember that you're increasing the size of your PBIX. So that size again would be reflected onto your RAM here. So this is the thing you have to remember. And then now, if we go back into Power BI desktop here, and then if I click here, let's start with the dimension here. Okay, so here, if you pick an example, so when we are looking at this last name and first name column, so the way a Votipack engine is storing this data is it is storing your, so let me take it. So it is storing the last name column separately and then first name column separately. And then the same thing is happening for each column that is available here. So every column would be saved separately here. And then whenever you're building any kind of visual onto the front end side, and then if you're combining, so let's say with the last name, you're combining hire date, then it will combine all the data set and then it will present it to you. But in terms of storage at the back end in the presentation where we have seen Votipack engine. So each column would be stored separately. Okay, and then now, if we add any column here, then it will for sure take a space in the memory. So let me clear uh, the annotations here, clear all drawing, and then to keep it simple, so let me do this. So let me create a new table. So I'm clicking within the table tools, I'm clicking on new table. And then here we are saying employees EMP test data. That's our table name. And then we want to summarize. So for summarizing, we have a function. And then now we are referencing the employees table. From the employees table, we want to take first name, and then from the employees table, we want to take the last name. So combination of these two columns, we want to create a table. So here you see we have this simple table here, and as I mentioned in my previous classes, so we have external tools available within Power BI Desktop. And then to see the size of your tables, size of your columns, we can leverage DAX Studio. So I can click here on DAX Studio. So it will connect this DAX Studio instance to your model. So you could see to the left, I'll be able to see all the columns that are available. And then here you see I have this EMP test data available. So the way I can see the data is you just type evaluate and then drag and drop your table name. So this is pretty simple. And then at the top left, I can click on run, and then you could see we are able to see the same data set here. But the key thing, what I wanted to show here is if I go within the advanced, this is where we will be able to see the size of your tables, size of your columns. And then if I click on view metric, and then here at the bottom, you could see it's giving me a complete summary. So table level, column level, all the relationship, all the partitions, and then summary. So the current size of our PBX after compression is 6.78 MB. And then we wanted to focus just on the table we created. So which is the EMP test data. So here you see we have this EMP test data. So this is the complete table size we have. So what's the size of the last name? Here you see specific column size and then the specific column size for the first name here, and then the data size, dictionary, hierarchy size. So you don't have to have like a complete understanding of this, but you just need to understand that each column in your table will take a space. So the overall total size, what you're seeing here, so this is the size our PBIX report is currently taking in the RAM on this machine right now. And then you have to observe how this table size will increase. So let me take a snip of this. So snip to, so this will be our reference for checking if the table size or any of the information is changing here. So I'm taking a snip and then I'm going back to Power BI desktop here. And then now I'm again going back to the table tools. So this time, instead of creating a new table, I'm saying to add a new column. So now what I want to do is I don't want to have a separate columns for the first name and last name. I want to have just a combined column by saying name. So this time we have to combine those two columns. So I'm creating a new column as name, and then this time we want to combine first name. So when I start typing, so you could see I get first name, and then by using ampersand I'll be able to get the first name, and then I also will be able to get the last name. Okay, so simple. So I can also switch this by giving last name first and then the first name last. And then if I want to have a comma in between first name and last name, then the way I give it is I give double quotations. So within the double quotations, I'm saying this is a separate string. So, and then now we are concatenating three different string values here. So if I come here, so you could see this ampersand is combining these two strings, and then this ampersand is combining whatever value is returned with this. So this is how we will be getting the output. And then whatever you want to update, so let's say if you want to have an hyphen or something else, so you can update it here. So now I'll go ahead and then click here to commit. And then here you see I'm seeing first name, last name, and then the name columns here. Another thing I want to show here before we move to the DAX Studio is when I come into the report view, and then when I see the table here, it will show me for sorry. So it will show me first name, last name, and then the name column. I can come into the data view, and then I can click on the first name, click here, hide in the report view. So I'm hiding it here. So you could see the eye icon here. I can directly click here. So this says we are keeping these columns in the model. So they are visible here, but they'll not be visible when you're doing the development on the report view. So you could see the column headers are grayed out compared to the column, the name column here. So if I come into the report view, so you could see employee test data. Now we have like a very simple view here. If I click on this column, so I'm getting the first name and last name. One thing what we have is we are missing a space between first name, last name, and comma. I can come again into the data view and then into the name. So as I mentioned, any changes what we have to do will be in the second string format. So I come here within the double quotation, give a space here, and then say commit. And then now you'll be seeing it has a space here. Okay. And then now if I again go back to DAX Studio, okay, so we are seeing a summary here, the Vertipack summary. And then the name here, you could see VotiPack Analyzer. It's nothing but when I come to this presentation here, so it's the same name here. So within the storage engine, we have VotiPack. So the same thing we are analyzing here within the DAX Studio. So if I click on View Metric again here, so you could observe this numbers would change. Expanding this and then opening. So you could see we have name column here. Okay, so comparatively, then this got reduced. But here you could see, let me refresh it one more time. Okay, so if I come here, then you could see each column here. So the name column, what was created, is now also taking space. So this is the thing you have to be a little careful about. So if I come back to the Power BI desktop, so we have used a calculated column to create this output, but the similar thing we can also achieve it using a DAX measure where it will not like create it would not need any space, but it would be created on the fly. So if I come into the report view here, let me go again into the data view. So enable this column and then enable the second column again. So this way I'll be able to see this column into the report view. So dragging and dropping and then adding the first name, adding the last name, and then this one I'm saying calculated column approach. So which will take space in your memory. And then the next approach, what I will be taking is I'll now go into the data view and then copy the table logic. So just copy the table logic, come into the same table that we created, and then here, so let me go in quick thing. Sorry, so we have to copy the calculated column logic. So you see where we were concatenating the columns, and then come into the report view, and then here within this table, so I'm saying to create a new measure. So anywhere you can click, so either you could click here and then say new measure, or you also will have the option at the top. So within the modeling, you have this new measure option. So you could click that as well. So that way it will create a measure, but here I'll try to create in the EMP test data. I can click on this and then say new measure. And here I'm pasting the logic. Uh, in this one, so let's say measure based approach. So we are saying pick the max and concatenate will be the same. And then we are saying pick the max of the last name. So this is how you will be able to create a measure, and then this calculation will be just on the fly. So if I now go into the data view, so you could see I still have this 3 columns available. 2 columns were available in the table, third one I did concatenate, but the other field that I have available here, which is appearing as a calculator compared to this one, you could see it has a different symbol when it is a calculated column. So this is a measure, and a calculator uh, symbol here will differentiate between the other field and a measure. So this will only get executed when you drag and drop and then add it to any visual. So when I drag and drop and then add to this table visual here, so you could see it is creating the same output here. So we don't have to show the totals. So let me close the totals. But you could see as a simple understanding. So we use measures for a lot of purposes, but I wanted to keep it very simple. So that's the reason I have picked this example where we want to concatenate first name and last name, but we use it for a lot of mathematical operations purposes where we want to divide, multiply, or like do subtraction at the same time. So yeah, so in this example, so you see one approach is through the calculated column, and then second one is through the measure. So both outputs are the same, but one is it will be taking space, but the other one it will not be taking any space, and then this one will be more effective. And then the same thing, same logic, if you guys have a data set available for north wind. So this is now you can start leveraging the model and then perform different calculations. So you could see we have the unit price, and then we have the quantity available. And here we can add a calculated column for the amount. So the way we do it is within the table tools, we can click now. First, let's start with the new column. And then after that, we can translate it to uh, a measure. So here we want to calculate amount, which will be nothing but multiplying unit price. I start typing unit and then it will give me the column name. So the format will be table name followed by the column name. And then I'm multiplying it with the quantity. So when I start typing quantity, then it will point me to that specific column. So the naming convention again, it will be the table name followed by the unit. So the operation what we are seeing for to Power BI to perform is to multiply unit price with the quantity. And then when I apply here, so I should be seeing the output here. So which is this numbers applied. So we could see this number being applied, and then when I come here within the invoices, so let me, so we have the new amount calculation. So let me bring this up, select the table visual. By default it has selected a different chart here, but I now want to switch it to a table visual. And then here the calculation is unit price into, so if I again come back here, so it's unit price into quantity. So we have the quantity field available here. Okay, so yeah, so this is how you do it. And now if you want to create a measure for the same thing, so the only difference what we have to do is copy the same logic what we have available, and then come here, new measure, and then paste the logic here. And then this one is a measure. So I would say amount measure equal to, we want to do sum of the unit price column, and we want to do sum of the quantity column here. So let's see what the error we are getting. So unit price, okay. And then when we create this, it's all done. It will not create any calculated column. So I can show here. So you could see this is only showing the one column we created. And then if I come into the data view here, drag and drop amount measure, Okay, so this one will have row context. So the calculation here would be slightly different. So the calculation for this will be using SumX, because for each row it has to multiply. So invoices, and this one will not require sum operation, and done. Okay. So X here represents iteration function. So when we use SumX, provide the table name and then provide the operation what we want to do. So the current operation what we said is to multiply unit price by quantity. So the way Power BI will behave in this instance is every row it will iterate and then try to do the multiplication, and then uh, in final it will do a grand total. So here you could see now the number will vary, and then it will be the exact thing the way we got the amount using the calculated column. So that's the reason we should be keeping calculated column last option. First, we have to start by creating measures and then finally move to a calculated column. Okay.